So welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we are at a very jaunty angle, and we're doing that because we had to get all this stuff in the shop, basically.
This is our ranking video angle.
Yes. Our long-awaited Commands and Colors ranking video. And we will start off with a few caveats.
Yeah.
One being, we've got Battlelore 2nd Edition, which we played. There was a Battlelore First Edition from Days of Wonder, which goes in here, not played, but this is a reworking of that system.
Yeah.
And there's an old Commands and Colors Samurai Battles, which was from a Russian miniatures company, whose miniatures I have built and played in Flames of War, called Zvezda, and they, it was like a model kit. You had 100 little samurai miniatures you had to cut out and glue together and build, and the game, I don't know how well it did, but you can't get it anymore, and it's really expensive on the second-hand market, and GMT's making it into blocks and redoing it, so that'll be out, I think, this year, or next year?
Sometime in the next year,
so that's,
give or take.
That one is, it's gonna, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. So, right now what you're looking at is a chronological order.
Yes, not a ranking at this point.
No, we have played all of these, so it starts with Battle Cry, and then it goes all the way to 2019. Both Medieval and Red Alert were released from two different companies. And so we wanted to kind of do a bit of rankings, which ones you think are great, which ones I think are best, and just kind of see how that plays out. Yeah. And basically, the only thing I'll say is this, of all game systems, these share so much in common mostly that a lot of the ranking is based on how thematic they are and things that I like, for me personally.
Yeah.
I'll say theme plays a lot into it, so just take that with a pinch of salt. We'll talk about some of the mechanical differences, but for me at least,
I think theme and then how the game system or the changes mirror the history of that period. Yeah. And I'll use an example. Tricorn, I felt like the morale was a huge issue, and I thought they did a great job in that. The militia had trouble standing and fighting in the midst of regular. So that's what I mean by theme as well. Kind of period of war, how they molded the system to fit that, and did it really reflect it. But also theme in spaceships and that kind of stuff. Yes. So that's part of it. And I would also say, I don't know that we're going to go through and do a technical ranking of all of the innovations and changes in the system, because I know when we did the Coin Series ranking, that was what some people thought we were going to do, was going through all the mechanical differences. Yes. And I don't think we're going to go to that level on this. I think we might mention certain ones.
It's easier to do in this because there's fewer changes, or the changes stand out more. Each title has like one really big significant thing about it.
Typically,
Coin, some of them it's like, oh, this is quite similar to that, and then like you play Pendragon, you're like, whoa,
totally different.
It would be a lot. And also, for me, this is a ranking of my favorite ones.
Yeah,
it's not which ones I think are the best, although I do think they're the best because they're my favorite. But it's my favorite. So if you think other ones are your favorite or better or best, that's up to you. Everyone's entitled to how they feel about these. Let us know in the comments which ones do you think they're the best.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're doing this, to generate some conversation and discussion about a great system.
Yes. So, do you want to go first? Do you want to kind of set these up how you want?
I do. We will have to go to the magic of television and, do like a time jump.
Oh, we'll do it. Don't
worry. Yeah. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get to it.
Okay. Hopefully I don't have to pay for that music.
Right. Exactly. So, once again, this is the way I feel about the system and what I like.
Yes.
And the ones that I guess when I rank games, I always ask myself, would I rather play this one or this one? And it kind of comes down to that as I move down the line. So,
do you want to start here and go here?
Yeah, let's go ahead. So this is the end of the line. And I would also say, and I think we said this during our Coin Series, I don't believe any of these are bad games.
Oh, yes, I would absolutely 100% start with that. None of these are bad.
They're all playable, they're all interesting, they're all different, they are all interactive and fun. I like them all. So let's start with that. So at the end is Battlelore, and I think for me, this second edition is fairly complex.
Comparatively, yes.
Compared to the rest of the system, they add in a lot of elements. Units have various special abilities and differences. I was looking at it again just because it'd been a while since we've played it. They have a lot of different... The concept of the combat card is one that I've enjoyed, where you don't just have the command cards, but you have the combat card. There are some really cool combat cards in that one. It has a very cool economy system with the lore tokens, I believe they're called. So it's like you collect a certain amount of those, and then you can buy those special powerful cards, or pay for them. So really a cool system. It's a fantasy system. It's based in the world of Is it Runebound?
RuneScape.
RuneScape. Not really into that.
No, it's not RuneScape.
Well, what is it?
RuneScape's
it's right on the
game.
thing. Runebound.
It is Runebound.
I was right.
Okay.
I was right. Interesting. It's a fantasy theme. I usually like fantasy games.
Yep.
Sci-fi, fantasy. So I do like it. So that's my feeling about Battlelore. It is a little more complex. I think it's a very cool game. The miniatures are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
That hill giant, and I think there's a dragon.
That was a rock, I think.
Yeah, like a rock. Very cool. And we have a soft spot, particularly you, but a soft spot for miniatures.
Yeah.
So that's my last ranking. Many of you are going to be probably mad at me for this. I think the reason Command and Colors Medieval is where it is in the positioning, not that it's a bad game, not that it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. I think when it was being developed, I had an image in my mind that we're talking about Crusader Knights. That's what I thought.
Yep.
Knights on horses, armor, battle, etc. And that's not what it is. It goes into the Byzantine.
It's Byzantines and Assyrians.
Yeah, it just wasn't, for me, the theme didn't hit home. I will say there were some really cool elements.
Yeah.
The leader special abilities, and I'm trying to remember what it was called.
What are they called?
We should have actually gone through and reviewed.
What do they call them? They're those special things.
Sorry, I apologize.
It doesn't say.
But it was a special economy where you could do certain special attacks or change things. It was just a very cool, I thought, addition to the system that
was really good.
That made for some fun. I also remember in that game thinking the couple of scenarios we played were very archer heavy. And that was because a lot of the archer horsemen were used. And, fun game. Production was amazing. I didn't feel it as much as I have some of the other volumes.
Sorry, I gotta find it.
You can go ahead and look at that. I will move
They had
on.
leadership cards, but they called them something fancy pants. There was tactics cards.
No,
It was like, what do they call it? Section cards.
we're the worst.
Yeah,
We're the
I
worst.
forget what it's called.
Anyway, some neat innovations to the system, and I enjoyed it, but I did not enjoy it as much as I wanted to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's fun, but the marketing let it down on this one for me.
Well, and it's funny because GMT does a great job of articles and different designer diaries, and I'm frankly not sure I read a whole lot about it as it was being developed.
Yeah.
I just assumed,
It's my own fault.
Yeah, this is what it's about. So that's kind of my number 8 out of 9. I think there were 9, right? 3, 6, 7. Yeah, 8 out of 9. Memoir 44. Love World War II. That's one of my... it's a comfort zone for me. I know the history better than I do many other conflicts and enjoy it quite a bit. Memoir 44, it feels like a toy.
Yep.
Because of the miniatures. And I think that's the same way I feel about Battle Cry, because you get that little miniature effect. I feel the same way about Red Alert. Sorry.
No, yeah.
Everything else uses, well, and Great War as well, because it uses little miniatures. But fun game. It doesn't, we were talking about this, your losses didn't reduce your die that you rolled for combat.
No.
That happened in Napoleonics, I think, was the first.
Yeah.
In the line of the system. So, yeah, Memoir 44 is my number 7. I will play Memoir 44 at any time.
Yep.
I think it's one that you slap down on the table, I will play pretty much. I will never say no. That was also a game you played. I think Kelly played you on the Friday Night Fights.
We played that. Like, this is all of these are very accessible.
Right.
But I think Memoir and Battle Cry are the simplest. I
Right.
think those are the ones that are like really easy
Pretty
for
straight up.
anyone to get into.
So yeah, Memoir 44, I really like it. So right in the middle is the Great War, and I wanted this one to be higher. I love it. I absolutely love it. We haven't played a ton of games on World War One, but the minis are really great. I think the tiles are really great. Some of the really cool innovations that are thematic for this one is that no man's land bombardment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the couple times we've played, it can be hit or miss. You roll a couple dice and you're never going to hit anything, or you might roll one or two dice and man, you're going to obliterate an entire machine gun company. Very interesting innovation. It has a great economy as well with the stars that you collect to then pay for certain cards. Really enjoy that type of thing in this system because it gives you something else to think about. It's not just rolling die looking for hits and retreats, but you're also looking for those stars.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name they called them, but really fun game. That's the Great War. And this is the Centenary Edition from PSC. I think it came out originally in 2015.
Yeah, so originally in 2015, this one came out, and it's 15mm miniatures,
Yeah.
which you can use for any of their own games like Battle Group, but they were on sprues,
Yeah.
which people don't like.
Yeah.
So in the Centenary Edition, it's
were
all
all
it's all
detached.
pre-cut. It's just
Yeah.
you got a bag of dudes.
They're great looking. And we have some of the expansions. I have the French, I have the tanks. And man, it's just really cool.
And it's a major dynamism to the game.
Yeah. Just a fun one. So more I think about it, I feel like this one should be a little further up, but some of these are just really great.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing with ranking all of them is you're like, these are all amazing.
Yeah.
But like, oh, I like this
I can't
one,
put this one
just
by
a
you.
tiny bit more.
Yeah.
Do not think that these are bad games.
No.
please.
So now we're coming into the top 5, and we just recently played Battle Cry. The first game in the system, pure commands and colors. It teaches you the system. I really liked this one because I felt like it forced me to be a commander. You know, we talked about that in our review video of Battle Cry, but you know, the way the hand size worked, the way I played the South, they didn't have as many units as you did, so I really had to be a commander. I had to think about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. I didn't have to worry about another economy of different types of symbols. Pretty simple, straight up, roll dice. You took 3 losses. You still roll your 4 dice if you're in range.
Yeah.
So very great system, very cool. Really like it. I also like American Civil War. I'm starting to like that more. But once again, I like it, but I couldn't put it in front of some of these. So that was Battle Cry number 5. Number 4 for me is the not the newest version. This came out like in early 2019.
Yes.
Whereas Medieval was like
Medieval's this one.
Oh, sorry. Medieval was a little more
Mid.
it was mid, like early summer. Red Alert, spaceships, space fleet battles. I mean, what's not to like?
Yeah.
Great miniatures. The miniatures are huge. We found ourselves totally geeking out on the different sculpts. So maybe I like this one more for the theme and the feeling than I do for the gameplay. Although it was really cool because those command ships that you had, man, that felt really cool trying to protect those from, you know, your little fighter groups, your gnats coming in. Lots of really cool system. They also have some great economy in that. The Red Alert concept of, if this happens, you're in trouble, so you better not let this happen.
Yeah.
Red Alert, it's like your ships are done, basically. Great system, great production from PSC Games. You know, now we're in my top 3. And these were very, very hard to rank. Actually, I'm going to be honest, Napoleonics was not difficult to rank for me. It is by far, head and shoulders, my favorite version. I enjoyed that, and I'm kind of going out of order, but I enjoy Napoleonics because of the tactical nature of the combat, from terrain to unit types, because how many different unit types are in the base game? It's
There's a lot.
400, I think. And then if you look on the shelf here, you know, you've got 4 of I think there's 5 or 6 expansions.
So, yeah, there's 4 army expansions. Then there is like a tactics and leaders expansion,
which I'd love to have.
That adds combat cards and leaders. And then there's also the Epic expansion, for which you need that other one.
Yeah.
Which that allows you to stick 2 boards together
and play with like 4 or 5 people.
Huge game of Waterloo, and it's insane.
So, to me, this is the more complex and deep version of the system.
Yep.
Every single unit, almost, it feels like, has a different rating. Combat, movement, and then you add in the expansions, they try to once again adopt the thematic side of, hey, the Spaniards aren't good at this, and the Russians aren't good at this, and so, I don't know, just, that's my favorite. Let's go back to Command and Colors Tricorn, because we played this one this year.
Yep.
And I love the American Revolutionary War. I like this system. Love that time period. I've always been a little hesitant on that one. It just didn't really interest me as much. But man, was I wrong. When we got that one to the table, and the morale changes, highlighting the effect of morale on troops. And if you rout a unit, whether they have 4 blocks or not, man, they're gone, right? And that reflects the historiosity of that period. That's the way militia work. You didn't put your militia right in the center all the time and leave them alone. You kind of supported them. And the more supported troops are, the less they're gonna break. So maintaining those cool battle lines are very, very, I think, more important in this one than any of the others.
Probably that's... Well, I think there's more of a reward in this one than the others.
For keeping it.
It's also very important in Ancients as well.
It's true. But I really liked this one. Great production value. The dice are actually embossed. They're not embossed, but they're almost laser printed on it.
They're printed nice.
Silk screened. It's just really, they're not the stickers. So really like that one. They have a French expansion for this one we have not played. And they're now coming out with Compass is coming out with a new volume using the Command and Colors Tricorn label, but it's Jacobite Rising, so it's like Scottish Highlanders, and so looking forward to that one. I know it's now on Kickstarter right now. So anyway, that was my number 3, and Ancients. We played SPQR a couple of weeks ago on Vassal, and elephants, man. I hate to say it, but elephants are fun. They're unpredictable.
They're insane.
They're wild. They attack, not only the enemy, but other units around them, and they rampage, so really cool. Archery in this is horrendous. It's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have a slinger and it gets like 1 die or 1, and it's like, I'm never going to hit.
Yeah.
But that's cool because to me, that's very reflective of this period. It was about swords, shields, spears, and
if you can soften them up, that's great. But you're doing it to get into melee and engage.
Ancients has a really special place in my heart because we have really started to like Ancient. I mean, SPQR is a blast.
Yeah, but we've started to play more of them, and I think this was a great gateway into that theme.
And I don't know that I had much of an interest. 4 or 5 years ago, I don't know that I... In fact, I remember seeing this on Board Game Geek and going, what's the big deal?
Why do so many people
but now that I've played it, I love it. I love the different units. I love the different abilities. I love the different parts of the game. And once again, elephants. That's just all I can say. I already talked about Napoleonics. I love Napoleonics. We've played this, I think, more. I think we've played this one the most out of all of them. Maybe we've played Memoir 44 the most.
It's close. But we played a lot of Napoleonics.
I really enjoy it. I would slap that down right now and put it on the table. Probably throw in one of the expansions because we need to get through all of those and enjoy every single element of those. And that's the great thing about, I think, this entire system. When they throw an expansion on, it's not just 8 or 10 extra scenarios. It's extra units. It's usually some different tactics and different elements with those battles. And man, this system can it could grow and grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
There could be 25 volumes in 10 years. So anyway, that's my ranking of Commands and Colors from 1 to 9 of the volumes we've played. We still haven't played Samurai Battles. I think that one's going to be high on my list.
Yeah, I think once that gets re-released through GMT and it's much more widely available, then it'll, so many people haven't played it. And a lot of people don't even know it exists.
Right.
So
I was surprised when it was announced on the P500 as a reprint. I was like, I never heard of that one. So, because I didn't really wasn't into miniatures.
Well,
as much.
and yeah, how would you know?
Yeah.
A game that I don't
Never
I think it
really
bombed,
did well,
and
yeah.
it was made by a
Probably
foreign
didn't bomb
company,
because
but-
it wasn't a good game, but most people can't build minis and then put them on the battlefield.
or
There's
don't
only a
want
s-
to. They're very
Yeah.
fiddly ones, apparently.
Got it.
And they're very fragile because they got all these long swords and
So they break.
stuff.
And,
So, yeah, and how do you store that in a cardboard box with
Yeah.
a bunch of heavy boards? And, like that's
Yeah.
So they're gonna do it
Yeah.
with blocks, and I think it'll be great.
So that's my rankings. I feel bad that Great War isn't higher. It's a really good game.
It's fun.
I also think this one probably should be higher, but the ones in front of it, I don't know how you're going to dislodge them.
Yep.
So it's hard.
Okay, what I'll do is I will re-rank, and we will go through these one more time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that this is how I would rank it. We've got my number 1 over here, and we've got number 9 down here.
So I do want to say a comment before we go. It was very entertaining to see you hem and haw and how do I do that? And I felt the same way at the beginning as I was
Yeah.
lining mine up.
This
So
is
that was
not
fun.
an easy thing to do because
No.
all of these games are enjoyable. And again, I'll say it again. Don't think these are bad games and these
Yeah.
are amazing games. These are all really good. I would recommend every single one of these for anyone to play. The only caveat I would give is that Battle Law is more crunchy and there's a bit more complexity and a bit more moving parts than some of these other ones.
Well, really, Battlelore only feels like a CNC game because of the command cards.
Yeah,
And the concept
and
of
the different
Right.
map regions. A lot of this is quite different. So
it's become more of a commercialized game, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's different.
So I got Medieval down here, much the same as you. My expectations for this game were wrong. I
Mm-hmm.
thought, like I'm English, when you say to me Medieval, I do not think of Sassanids and Byzantines.
Yeah.
That's just not where I go to. This is like...
And technically it is, right? The medieval period, we looked at, it was like from, I want to say like 200 AD.
It's
to-
literally like this starts the year after Ancients ends.
Right.
I'm like... So I was...
It
I
felt
was-
like Ancients
Yeah.
Redux or Ancients Volume 2 or so,
If you would have told me that this was Commands and Colors Ancients...
Yeah.
I couldn't have told you any different.
I agree.
Other than the new kind of leadership cards and mechanics that they have.
Yeah.
And like those. So there's some new extra rules, but the combat feels very much like Ancients in that
Yes.
way. Now, they are coming out with some of the later medieval stuff.
Well, and someone mentioned, which I haven't seen it renounced on the P500, but someone mentioned they were pushing like Crusader Knights and Saracens around.
and I'm like,
yeah, bring that on.
That's what I
Yeah.
want. That's what I
Onward
have
Christian
expected
Soldiers
in
type
this.
game, yeah.
Give me that. That's what I want from that. So,
Yeah.
but the game's still great. You still clink each other with the worst archery of all time, and then you just charge in with your horses.
Yep.
And
Try to
it's
sweep
just
the
good
field.
melee. So then Battle Law. The one thing I really enjoyed about Battle Law, because it's a fantasy game, you don't have set historical pitched battles. So there's this whole hidden setup thing you do beforehand,
Yeah.
where you lay out these kind of tiles, so you know where my units are, but not what they are, and then we kind of like reveal them all, and then you put your units out. So from a competitive game standpoint, this has an extra edge, and you can get into some really neat setup
Yeah.
as like this mini game.
Yeah.
That's something I enjoyed from that. But for me, the theme is one which I'm not that fussed about. Weirdly, I've played like 4 games in this system.
Yeah.
In this world, but
In the RuneScape world?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember Dungeon Quest?
Yeah.
That Nutso game
Yeah.
that was in this world.
I did not know that.
We played another one, and I can't remember what it was called. I don't know if it's called Runebound, but there was another one
We played Runebound.
It was the
I
one
swear.
at that FLGS that we played at.
Yeah.
Chinese. That one. That's
Okay.
this world as well.
Okay.
And I believe that there was, oh gosh, what was it called? There was that really old FFG game that was a dungeon crawler. Do you remember that?
Cave Troll?
Yes. I believe that's the
In
same
that
world.
world. Okay.
I'm
that was
not
a fun
sure.
game. Simple game, but
Yeah.
fun.
So weirdly, I've played a ton of games in
Okay,
this world, but
okay.
it's just not a theme that I care about.
Yeah.
It doesn't grab me in that way. So
If it was more like high fantasy, would that change it for you? Like high fantasy, like Warhammer fantasy, or
Warhammer, no. If it was Lord of the Rings, probably.
Yeah.
But like, this is just an alternative, generic fantasy setting, and that's not something that plays to me as much. It's cool. There's a lot of stuff in here.
Well, that mountain giant miniature is pretty dang cool.
It's on the more complex side. There's a lot more moving pieces to this one compared to something like Battlecry, right?
Yeah. And complexity doesn't always translate to good. It just can be complex.
If you like the theme, great.
Yeah.
You will love this. But for me, I like more historical themes. That's really all I'm saying. He says with Red Alert at number 1.
Well, this is just history that hasn't been written yet.
Yeah. So we've got American Revolution, Tricorn. This is a really good game. This game, I would say, is one of the first ones where the stuff that they'd added to it... No, the combat cards, they're really cool. But this whole morale check mechanic that might just rout you off the board, this was the first one where I was like, oh dang. They took a really important focus of this tactical combat and like made that a real focus of the game.
Yeah.
Like Memoir 44 is, tanks and men, and you gotta just shooting each other, and it's who wins?
Yeah.
This one they really tried to add in some pretty important aspects from history into it, outside of unit types, and that was something I really appreciated playing. I'm like, they've like put a lot into this from like a research standpoint, and tried to put in the important aspects of it outside of just shooting each other, which was really neat. These games are a bit longer, and I think that's why it's down the rankings a bit.
And it was longer because, one, their ranges aren't as good, so you really have to move into position.
Yeah, you roll far fewer dice than each other.
And then you roll like 2 dice. We were rolling 4 or 5 with Battlecry the other day, but it's like 2 dice.
Yeah, and so it takes a bit longer. And
which is okay.
It's fine, but I do...
A little faster.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that's actually true with what I got there, but if it was a bit faster, boy, this would be probably a few steps up. Then we got Ancients. Again, something you mentioned is true. This is one of the first Ancients games that we'd really played, where especially was tactical combat.
Yeah.
And it was, like I've seen that stuff on TV, and I know about certain unit types and things, but like playing it, I'm like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
I think this isn't as high as it is because we've played Great Battles of History now.
Right.
And I really liked that, especially the simple GBOH rules.
Yeah.
It's a step up from this in its crunchiness,
Yep.
but I
still playable.
Yes, and it's relatively quick.
Yep.
Compared to other war games. It's a quick game of that is the same length as a long game of this.
Yeah,
maybe.
I would agree.
But you still get that rich flavor of different unit types and stuff.
Yeah.
Which this provides you, but that does it as well. But there's more to explore there as well. So I think that's why this one maybe isn't as high as you had it, for example. Because there's other great Ancients games as well. Still a really fun game though.
So that begs a question from me, and obviously this is not the focus of that video, but let's say you could have 2 games on Ancients. I'm sorry, you could have 1 game on Ancients.
Ooh.
Would it be CNC Colors Ancients, or would it be SPQR Great Battles of History? That system.
I would,
and they're both good. They're just different.
I would be inclined, especially with the new deluxe edition of SPQR, because you get so much in that box.
Yeah.
And then it's going to pay dividends as you get more and more into that system. Maybe.
They're both great though.
Yeah. But yeah, that's...
So you're not going to answer?
It's tough. I'll probably go with
GBOH.
SPQR. I think I would,
okay. All right.
But still, a super fun game.
Yeah.
Nothing like a good round.
So don't take that as a negative.
No.
But to me, you got to play this in order to kind of get to that.
And I'm glad we did it that way. Yeah. That was nice.
Yeah, we played this. Then we played, I think it was Ancient Civilizations of the Middle East. Genesis.
Genesis. Genesis is fantastic too.
So we played that, and then Genesis, and then SPQR, GBOH.
Yeah. So we played Imperium Romana, but that's on a much bigger scale. It's not quite the same.
That game was so fun.
But Ancients, very, very good. Also, a bunch of good expansions. Gives you more armies, tons and tons of new battles as well.
I have 2 of the expansions, kind of the Roman Civil Wars, and then what's my other one? Is it the Barbarians? Yeah, it's mainly Barbarians.
Barbarians.
Right, they're great.
Great War, the Centenary Edition it's great. And this is I think it's quite different because it's a lot of the battles, you're in a trench line and you have to go over the top.
Yep.
So the game is different in just the configuration of the trenches and the setup of your units.
Yeah.
Where I think there's, in some of the other ones, a bit more tactical variability.
Well, there's a lot more maneuver in, say, Napoleonics versus the Great War. You just gotta get your cards, build your hand, and then go for it.
What's really fun about this one is, though, you set all the game up, you lay out all that barbed wire in No Man's Land, and then for every single tile you put out, you roll a die, and it might stay there, it might get
becomes
destroyed.
a shell crater.
So no two battles are going to be the same because of the tactical situation. Yeah. Oh, I've created a lane through No Man's Land here. Oh, I have none. Like, oh no. Or it's like, I totally creamed it, and I can rush up. This has a lot of different unit types as well, which is nice. Memoir has infantry, right?
Yeah. And they added even more with the French expansion and the tank. I mean,
like
there's a lot.
Snipers and flamethrowers, sappers. There's a ton of stuff in here.
This one is very similar to Napoleonics in that respect.
Yeah,
I think they really try to differentiate unit types, and I like that. So that's why I like these. They're just cool.
Yeah, and then you get the big tanks in the tanks expansions. There's a lot in this one. I enjoyed this, and I think this was the first one that we'd played that had those combat cards.
I think it was. It wasn't the first to have them, but
no, it was the
first that we played.
So that was very fresh and new.
It was fun.
Ooh, it was really cool. Yeah. It was more than just Memoir.
Yeah,
which was that was very enjoyable. So when we come to Battle Cry, and this is just a great game.
Yeah,
it's
solid.
It plays quickly, and that's something I look for in this system, generally speaking.
Yeah.
You set it up, 40 minutes and you're done. You can swap sides if it was imbalanced and play again and take an aggregate score. It's been an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a really, really good game to
Some
me.
of our Hex and Counter games take an hour and a half to set up.
I know.
Barlem takes 6 hours.
That's, set up now. Great game, set up now. This is something where I'm like, a really easy... Play a tournament of Battle Cry.
Yeah.
Because the games go quick and you can go through rounds really, really nicely. And like this is just a very simple game. It's very, it was the birth of all these other ones, and so you don't have all this extra stuff.
Yeah.
Just play a card, run up, chuck some dice. Oh,
yeah.
Great. It's just fun. And for me also, a good learning opportunity because there's a lot of ACW battles in there. So it helps me to learn some of that history, which is something I'm not that well versed on. So I appreciate that as well. Then we've got Memoir. This gets up here probably because of nostalgia's sake. Mm-hmm. It's a really good game. Again, it plays very quickly. These two have a very similar kind of 40-minute playtime. But it's World War II.
Yeah.
And the base game is basically it's D-Day and then basically all of Operation Overlord. Mm-hmm. And so you can... Some of the setups are kind of like, oh, I guess, that's this situation. But like... It's just driving tanks out in the open, blowing each other to hell, moving your infantry units from cover to cover, trying to set up firing arcs with your artillery pieces. And it's got all the miniatures too, that helps.
Yeah, it's got that toy feel.
Yeah, it's Days of Wonder, so the production value is off the charts.
Yeah.
With that being said, my copy had a Duff rulebook. So I had to get a replacement.
I remember that now.
There was a bunch of pages missing in the middle.
Yeah.
And then some of them were double printed. It was kind of a mess.
I remember that now that you
mentioned that years ago. But there's a trillion expansions for this.
That was the one. And have you ever played any of the expansions?
I have played a couple that my brother had. I mean, that was 10 years ago, though.
Yeah.
A ton of the expansions are OOP, and I've no idea if they will ever come back into P.
Yeah. I wonder why that is.
Expensive. Days of Wonder got bought by Asmodee. Don't know if it's priority for them. Who knows? There's a ton of reasons. But they just came out with the Air Pack, which is apparently really good, and you can use it with every single scenario there's ever been. So I might look into that too. But there's every different front. There's a ton of different maps. Every different army. There's like equipment packs that have just tigers and snipers. Just like the special units, which are normally marked with a counter on a regular unit infantry. But you can get special stuff for it too. There's a ton for it, but really it's a quick playing World War II game. Very easy to learn. I'll keep this around, teach my son when he's old enough and willing to play it.
I don't like the dice in this one though.
Oh, they're very rounded little light
They're
wooden ones.
very rounded, and then there's wooden ones. I feel like there's just nothing there.
Yeah,
I want some
understand
heft
that.
to my dice.
That's
So,
fair. But yeah, really, it's just a fun game.
Yeah, it
and
is.
It's battles that I know, and we just play it. And it's little army men. Who doesn't like that?
Yep.
So then we'll move on to Napoleonics, my second favorite game, for all the reasons that you said.
Yeah.
I love the period.
Yeah.
Napoleonics is fantastic.
Which is so interesting that we say that, but we've never really played many Napoleonic games.
We haven't, but I've, as a kid, watched all the Sharp
Right.
series, all of those. I've read all the books by Bernard Cornwell. I've got on my computer. I've got Napoleon Total War.
Okay.
And I've embarrassed about how many hours I put into that game, so I know it well.
Yeah.
At least combat wise and stuff. And so having it out on a table, playing it with you is fun. And then this added some crunch with the unit types to these games.
Yeah.
This kind of takes it to another level.
Yeah.
Because in this one, you're rolling fixed amount of dice.
Yep.
This one, you're rolling dice based on blocks left in your units, as well as things like movement and all that kind of
Which
stuff.
I really, that's probably the innovation that I've enjoyed the most about this volume. That, because even Battlecry we played, and it was like
One man rolls
that
4
one
dice.
man's still gonna obliterate my. Although I've decimated him, he's got nobody. I killed the leader.
Yeah.
And it's like.
So you,
This takes into advantage.
You
or takes into
sacrifice
account that.
realism for fun and gameplay
Yeah.
and speed. Here,
Yeah.
you add in that realism, so the games take a bit
yeah.
longer for that reason.
Yep.
But it's really cool. This is a beautiful looking game as well.
Oh, it's so beautiful on the table because of the colors
and
and
the little counters
flags.
that you've got. They've
Yeah.
just done a really nice job.
Yeah.
I got all the army expansions for it, and each one has own. Their units have different stats, so they you use them differently. But then they'll also have like national rules as well.
Yep.
So on this one, like, the British are really good in fire combat, but less good in melee combat. But the French are really good in melee combat.
Yeah,
If first
yeah.
columns charge you, it's over.
Yeah.
But they're less good in fire combat. And the other, they all have these little special rules, like all the Spanish have these partisans and stuff
Yeah.
that you. It's just,
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
very cool.
It is much more crunchy for that reason.
Well, and the player aids in that one, I remember the very first time we played
It's
it.
almost overwhelming.
Well, the player aids are so big, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Because you've got all your units on there.
And then all
the enemy ones for
Yeah.
you to reference, and I've got one too. And so it
It's
can
a
be
lot.
It can be a lot, but don't. let that
these
put
are
you off.
probably the two most complex games in the system.
That's probably true. Yeah.
This one more so than this one, but I think the complexity ratchets up with those two.
Yeah. But just fantastic game.
Yeah.
I just like
doesn't
it.
love
It's
it?
enjoyable.
And the title is written in cursive. I just think that's. I always thought that was really cool.
It's great.
So.
And then finally, we've got Red Alert. Of all the stuff we've talked about history and like realism, it's all tossed out the window. And that's because I don't know if I can get over myself and how much I like toys and bits and pieces, right? It's sci-fi, which is great.
It's always a good. Yeah.
But isn't it funny? Generic sci-fi
Yeah.
versus generic fantasy.
I know.
I love this so
Yeah.
much. The board is freaking huge because it's this like canvas mat.
Yeah.
And the hexes are massive because you have like 4 ships all on these 3D standees that they stand
Yeah.
up, and what's really the best part about this game, is it has army building.
Yes.
None of these other ones have army building in the same way.
Yeah.
Here, it's got some kind of introductory scenarios where it's like, here's your setup. This has points values, and you get 110 points. And so you're like, sweet, I can build my army how I want.
If you want a bunch of dreadnoughts, you can do that.
and
You're
then-
going to lose. But
Yeah, or you can pick a task force where it's like, you get these units, but you have a choice between these ones.
Yeah.
And then you line them up, and it's space. So you're shooting lasers at each other, and you're making laser noises the whole time. And this is one of the few. So, Ancients does this as well, where all these big capital ships, man, they just bounce hits from smaller ships.
Yeah,
Like the heavy cavalry,
They
or the
can
heavy
ignore one
infantry
hit
just
from-
ignore stuff from
Yeah.
the light infantry. And so the tactics get really, really intense. And I love that. It's very engaging in that way. There's a billion expansions for it that just add more stuff. But it just looks great. It's great to play with, and you also get the good tactics from the different kind of classes of ships. So the interplay between those is really fun, and it's just it's a perfect theme. Just big ships, and I like capital ship combat.
Yeah.
There's nothing like having two big giant battle cruisers line up against each other and just broadside the crap out of each other. There's something I find very rewarding about doing it. I just enjoy it. So this is just a really fun game.
Yep.
It's unbelievably fun. This is a really fun game which has a great theme as well that I love the history of. So it's interesting. The fun factor is what I rate the most out of those.
Yeah.
Really. They're just a blast to play with. So this is my rankings. Again, these are all fantastic games.
Yeah.
Would play any of these at a drop of a hat if someone wanted.
There were some differences that I didn't expect these to be this far back, but for you.
Yeah, well, and it's not that they're
it's
bad. It's that I enjoy the other ones more.
Much more. Yeah.
I still really enjoy this. Like this, I play it right now.
Yeah.
But I love these just a tiny bit more.
Yeah.
Like the differences between these are fairly small.
Right.
Apart from these two, these are quite standout ones to me. The rest of these are like, yep, I'll play any of them.
Yeah.
So
this was a very hard process, just like the Coin Series video we did. But I feel very good about our look at this system, all these games that we've played. We've had a lot of fun. We probably will have a lot more fun. We still want to play more with the tanks in the Great War.
And there's more to come, right? There's samurai battles, there's Jacobite Rising. Who knows what else Borg's going to do?
Well, Command and Colors Medieval's going to get another one, whatever they're going to call it, Medieval 2 or whatever.
And if they
Medieval, this is what it should have been.
That might be over there.
Yep. So a lot of life left in this system, I think.
Yeah.
And a lot of innovation. I think they'll continue to innovate and do some new things and add some new elements and keep it interesting.
And the other reality is you don't have to own them all, right?
No.
If you don't like some of these themes, don't mind.
No, right.
You're not missing out on enough where you're like, oh, I
gotta have that, yeah.
Like, get the ones that you want or the one that you want and just play it because you will get a lot of longevity out of these. I think most of these have a really good number of scenarios in them.
Oh, at least 10 to 15 in each box.
And then you replay them and they're all totally different anyway. So you get a good game out of these. These are light war games, but they still.
So I think that's a good comment. I think that's a great comment. These are really value war games.
I think so.
Because there's a lot in this box, a lot of replay value, because there's so many scenarios. You play both. If there's 10 scenarios, you play both sides. That's 20. Just a lot of. We have an amateur pianist going on right now, but a lot of value here. So this is a good system if you want to break into war games. A good system if you want to learn history. A good system if you just want to have fun with your friend. I think it's or your kids. Great system. So
so that's our rankings of the Commands and Colors series. Again, not meant to be objective.
Yeah.
So let us know what your favorites are. Yeah, and just have fun. Get some of these, play them. These are a great introduction to war games.
Yes.
It might satisfy that entirely, or it might wet your whistle, and you might want to dive further into something else as well.
Like it did for us with Ancients. I think we've gone into the deeper end of the pool now because of that.
It's a great way to explore things you wouldn't normally have explored because the games aren't overwhelming, but you'll get a sense, at least, for that period of time and what you might be able to find elsewhere in other titles also.
Agreed.
So
my list is the right list, so ignore Alexander's. So just kidding.
No,
it was fun putting them together and seeing the differences.
Yeah, and it was
I
hard.
enjoyed that. It was very hard.
I felt more confident in the coin rankings.
I think I did too.
That was hard, but I definitely have stronger opinions on those of this is better than this is better than this. This was oh boy.
Yeah, it's hard.
Oh boy. So, appreciate you guys tuning in. This is our Commands and Colors rankings. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.